cool thing for me, I'll name drop, is Tom Brady. Tom posts about it all the time. He just posted a picture of his gym the other day, and you can see the TrueForm right in center. I think any form of training that you're doing, whether it's there's a health component, a performance component, or you're combining them together, it's like putting money into the bank. My favorite workout protocol to do it the first of the year, last of the year, middle of the year, anytime is 3-30-52. So 3 times a week, 30 minutes, 52 weeks a year. Since then, I've got myself into 5Ks, marathons, ultra marathons. I ran a 300-mile race last year from Los Angeles to Las Vegas.
Oh, damn. Wow. Good job.
All the way, yeah. So it's a fun kind of experience.
Welcome to today's podcast. I have the pleasure to meet Zack from TrueForm, and we're going to have a conversation about running and longevity. So, Zack, can you please introduce yourself and your business? That would be amazing.
Yeah, 100%. What's up going on, guys? Zack with TrueForm Treadmills. So TrueForm, if you're not familiar, has been around a little more than 10 years now. We're a curved, non-motorized treadmill company. So we sell treadmills, but the difference between us and most treadmills in the market is that there's no power to it. Slight curve to it. You can think of it almost like a half of a hamster wheel. And the individual running or walking on the unit powers it completely. There is a power mechanism, rechargeable battery for the display just to get the pace, distance, time, but no other mechanisms built into the tread to make the tread move or stop. That's 100% powered by you. And the difference between our tread is we have the shallowest curve on the market, so there's a few competitors out there. They've gone a little bit steeper. We try to stay true to natural running and walking form. We want just enough where you're getting use out of it to be able to get your glutes, your hamstrings, your core activated just like you would outdoors, whether you're walking, running, sprinting, whatever activity you want to do on the treadmill, and provide that environment indoors. And it's a great companion piece to whatever you're doing in your training. We have high-end athletes, professional athletes, home gym users, people like Ben Greenfield who just walk on their treadmill every day.
That's the reason why I know about TrueForm is by reading one of the Boundless. Actually, I have it right there. It's like a Bible for biohacking, and it referenced TrueForm Treadmill, and has been like 5, 6, 7 years that I saw it, and I always said, okay, I need to get more information about that. And thanks a lot for coming to the show today.
Of course.
I want to dive deeper into the difference, and I have so many questions. So
let's do it.
So I'm curious, how long have you been for TrueForm?
I've been there, just hit 7 years right after Christmas.
Okay, but that's a lot.
So pretty much since the beginning. Company started a few years before me. The individuals who have started the company have since left. So there's been some turnover there, but I've the most senior position and senior tenure so far at TrueForm. So I've been there since the beginning, saw some evolution of the company. Like I said, we're based out of Connecticut, and been making the runner, which is the one that Ben's been running on in Connecticut since 2013, 2014.
So are you a runner, by curiosity?
I am, yeah. I mean, I started off as a hockey player, baseball player. Those were my sports growing up. I was actually the complete opposite. I was more of an enforcer in the hockey role, first baseman, pitcher kind of thing. So the least athletic of the positions, really use my size. I'm 6'3", 200 pounds. So use my size and strength over the time. But once I kind of hung up the skates and hung up the baseball cleats, got into running just as a form of fitness. It's a very simple thing to do, put on the shoes and go. Since then, I've got myself into 5Ks, marathons, ultra marathons. I ran a 300-mile race last year.
Oh, wow. A 300-mile race?
300. So from Los Angeles to Las Vegas.
Oh, damn. Wow. Good job.
All the way, yeah. So it's a fun kind of experience. And
so I have a question about that also later. I'm very curious about it. But I would like to kick off like the podcast with from your own experience, and you're in that space since a while. So why running is so essential for longevity in your point of view?
Honestly, I mean, like the longevity model is so complex and there's layers to it. There's so many different things you can add to your life or even take away to improve your longevity. But where TrueForm comes into it and fits into it is just the basic nature of freedom of movement, freedom of basic movement, be able to upright walk and move as freely as possible. That's one of the things that separates us and as we evolved as humans from apes and other creatures, the upright walking is what got us there, one of the components of that. So that's the environment we're trying to bring to our users. And like I said in the beginning, we have professional athletes who do professional sprinting and distance training on our treads. That's a great component of it. But one of my favorite aspects of the curved treadmill is just a basic putting yourself in an environment inside on a treadmill where you can do your usual walking and running outdoors in a more healthy lifestyle. So the big difference between the TrueForm and the motorized treadmill is obviously the curve part of it, but why that curve is important is it activates your glutes, your hamstrings, your core, it gets you involved, it forces you to put force into the ground, into the tread to get the tread to move. The exact same thing you would do outdoors, on the road or the trails.
Mm-hmm. So let's talk about your products, the difference, and then after we can go back on some other questions. So what you're saying is basically your products are only non-motorized. So they're different than the typical type of treadmill. And I really want to challenge you because I just got on board with a coach really specialized in Ironman and she's a triathlete champion. And she doesn't recommend me to go with a non-motorized, and I just started with her, So I want to know what's the real difference, and I want to have your point of view about that,
100%. Yeah, look, I'll start off. We sell two versions of almost the same product. It's a curved non-motorized treadmill, so both are non-powered. One is our high-end commercial grade product called the Runner. We've made that in the United States for over 10 years now. It's bulletproof. There's some cool options and customization features to that. And the companion piece of that is a product called the Trainer. Still very highly durable product used in a lot of athletes and longevity individuals, but it's a little bit smaller footprint. And we make that in our factory overseas. Really just trying to value engineer the Runner to make it more consumer friendly. It's more of a home gym product than anything. But if I was just being blunt about it, they're pretty identical. The Trainer is about 60%, I like to say, of what you get out of the Runner. And the Runner is almost overkill in some capacities. But with selling curved treadmills, I'm not anti-motorized treadmill. There's certainly a lot of benefit to it, whether you're training, again, for longevity or health in performance even as well. And so I don't want to take away from motorized treadmills. There's gyms and facilities and a lot of triathletes have both motorized and non-motorized in their homes, which is cool to see. But the benefit, we're really looking at the individual and what their desired use out of it and how much growth we can get from their training, their health, their longevity, performance, whatever they're after, versus where else would they train. So if they're going to a commercial gym, you're getting your basic motorized treadmill. That has certainly benefits to it. Obviously has the incline feature, so doing hill training and doing different workouts like that is very beneficial. We don't have an incline to our treadmill, so there's a positive for the motorized treadmill market. If you know how to kind of keep your cadence in good form on a motorized treadmill, there's some great overspeed training you can do with the motorized treadmill. Obviously you can set the speed on a motorized treadmill and you can set it to 5, 10, 15 miles per hour on an incline, and it does exactly that. So you can almost keep up and pace yourself on a motorized treadmill where you have to do more work on the TrueForm. But it's within those positives of the motorized treadmill comes TrueForm, where there is a takeaway factor of that. If you're just going for training a 5K, you mentioned it's snowing outside, you want to get your run workout in, but you can't go outdoors, you want to go indoors. Well, how are you going to approach that workout? On a motorized treadmill, you can still set the speed, but if you just have the balance and coordination down, you can get a workout in, but the effort's not going to be there like you would outdoors. On a TrueForm, you're forced and required to apply force in the ground, get proper landing mechanics, and again, use your body as a spring and a natural motion to get yourself forward exactly where you would outdoors. So there's a benefit there. In terms of long distance training, the key to any running, whether you're sprinting 100 meters or you want to run 300 miles, is how well you can maintain your form and your upright posture and support throughout the duration. That's going to improve your speed and improve your economy over time. On a TrueForm, again, you have to maintain that posture and form to get the belt to move. Whereas, again, the motorized treadmill, if you're not paying attention, it's easy to just kind of keep your balance and get going, or go off, right?
Sure.
There's the other benefit of the TrueForm is just a safety factor.
So would you say that like a manual treadmill, like a curved treadmill, would be? Is it better for the posture, or is it?
Yeah, 100%. I mean,
so how's that? Can you explain? Because we'll put some pictures while we speak so people can see your products. But I mean, a lot of our audience doesn't know about curved treadmills. So maybe you can explain how it works.
100%. Again, there's nuance to it, so I don't want to give the impression that motorized treadmills are bad, because that's not the case. But with a curved treadmill, particularly TrueForm with our shallow curve, again, it's more natural to outdoor running and walking. It's even more natural if you're coming from the motorized treadmill experience, the non-motorized treadmill. But with proper running form here, you want to have that kind of upright posture, a little bit of forward lean here, head stacked over your hips, get good landing mechanics where your foot lands right underneath your center of mass. You can kind of propel yourself forward, and then you can exaggerate that more to get sprinting, get a little more front side mechanics, get some proper arm swing, because arm swing mechanics is important whether you're sprinting or doing long distance running to kind of keep balance and coordination. All of that is required to get the belt on the Trueform moving. For the individuals out there who haven't experienced a non-motorized treadmill or don't know anything about Trueform, I don't want to give the impression that it's a challenging experience. Like this is just almost like pushing a sled.
I've tried it, and it's not. It's fun. It's nice to do.
It's fun. It's more engaging. There is a learning curve, a very brief learning curve. If you're running outdoors,
in a couple of minutes, you get used to it.
Exactly, you get used to it. But the engaging experience is really the difference of the Trueform. Again, we can get into the technical side of what's happening, but funny enough, our smallest demographic of individuals who are buying the Trueform are traditional runners, like marathoners, because they come from that motorized treadmill experience where it's just very bland. Again, because you're setting the speed and pace. If you're doing certain interval training or certain sprints, it's great. But if you have to run 3, 4, 5, 10 miles on a motorized treadmill, man, it's grueling. But on a Trueform, you're engaged every step of the way. So you can't just you can mindlessly, do your looking around or watch a movie. I watched a movie on a Trueform before running and my endurance training. But you have to be engaged with what your body is doing, exactly what you do outdoors. So it's a fun experience as well. Air quotes here, fun. It's something we talk about Trueform torture in a good way, because you're actually getting a workout and a benefit and engaging experience out of the treadmill versus something that's totally disconnected. We're going from man versus machine and a motorized treadmill component to a man working with a machine, working with its body, or female working with its body on a Trueform.
Sure. And so basically, as it's curved, closer you go to the curve, the top of the curve, faster it goes, basically. So that's how you control. So can you explain, like, for the people that doesn't know, like, maybe I didn't probably understand it correctly?
No, 100%. No, it's great. So our curve, again, is the shallowest. So some curves are pretty steep where you kind of want to get to the top of the curve to get it going. No matter if you're walking, if you're I don't want to stereotype an individual, but like an elderly patient or a client or a individual who's like in a rehab, just kind of doing the bare minimum, or you're the other end of that spectrum, a high-end athlete sprinting, your body will be in the same place as the treadmill. If you look at our website and our images, or we put one on the screen, kind of right where the uprights meet the top handlebar shape is where you'll be, where your hips will be. Certainly there's a kind of forward and backward moments when you're first starting or you're slowing down. But our curve, again, is that shallow curve. We like to call it almost like a wave. So your foot's hitting at the bottom of the wave in a consistent landing pattern every single time, where you can't overstride, you can't heel strike. You have to kind of get that midfoot strike. You have to put power underneath your hip. And that's, the other benefit is just a nice consistent landing placement pattern. Even if you're not fully in tune with running mechanics and what you should be doing in running experience, the Trueform acts like a coach and acts like a tool to kind of put you in that proper running mechanics form, because it naturally does that. Otherwise the belt doesn't spin.
Yeah, sure. And and the difference is also you run on slat, right? It's like
so it's a slatted tread.
Plastic slat, or is it?
So there's a bunch of individual slats. They're rubber, high-end commercial grade rubber surfaces. They're kind of moisture wicking is probably the technical term, proper term for it. So it beads off the water when you're sweating. We've had outdoor triathlons where or pool triathlons where they've done a swimming portion of the pool and hopped in a Trueform, which is pretty cool, and it's obviously a safe environment. But the slats, whether you're looking for a treadmill in general and a motorized experience, the slat's the way to go. It distributes the force evenly and it provides a nice soft cushion.
Is it harder on the joint compared to like a mat, basically, or?
Yeah,
I mean, it's harder, like, when you run.
It is. I mean, it depends who you talk to. I mean, there's some individuals who are die hard. I'm drawing a blank on the actual material, but if you go into a commercial gym and it's not slatted, it's just that one single surface. My preference is the slatted nature of it. There's less of a catch to it. Some individuals who are more towards that commercial gym treadmill will say that the catch isn't enough to disrupt form. But again, I'm all for anything that gives me even a half a percent better of improvement. But those running slats provide a nice low impact cushion where if you're a barefoot minimalist individual, you can run 10, 20 miles on our Trueform in a barefoot experience. And
In a
because
normal one with a slat, you can
with the
run.
regular one, I've done that as well. Walked, run on it. We have an artificial turf one, which is really cool, great for
Yeah, that's pretty
barefoot.
cool. I mean,
But the
I
regular
saw.
rubber saw is great. I mean, really, what it is the shape of the curve.
Mhm.
The cushion of the rubber slats and the mechanism of the belt is one layer of low impact, but really the shape of the curve is the key.
And I think you have like I have Nabozo. Is that
Naboso is great. Yeah,
so?
Dr. Emily, she's amazing. You
So
have the
it's
insoles
funny. I got this
on the
for
mat.
my
Yeah, yeah,
feet.
yeah.
You know, like the so that's
Yep.
the Nabozo material.
Yeah, yeah, no, she's great. The Boso in general is a great company. I remember the first time I came across them was like 2016, 2017. And we put it on the treadmill as just as a, let's see if this works. And I went for a walk, like a 15-minute walk. And in our gym, our warehouse, we have concrete floors. And I walked on the Boso, got on concrete floors. The concrete floors almost felt like pillows. It was very soft because the proprioception, the mind-muscle connection was very deep. So
Yeah.
Naboso is a great company. Check them out if anyone listening. They have insoles you can stick inside your shoes,
Yeah,
run them all day. So it's great.
that's a shout out to them. I mean, that's they do an amazing product. So,
Yeah.
so I'm curious, Zach. So, why do you think people they don't like to run? You know, I mean, it's like either you like it. It looks like
Yeah.
either you like it or you freaking hate it. So, what's your
I'd
thought
say
on it?
probably some nature nurture and just life experiences. Like for me individually growing up, like I was always a bigger kid. Not necessarily a husky fat kid, but
Yeah.
larger. I had the benefit of growing taller than most of my peers, and being a little bit more physically gifted. But where that drew it back was like the mile run in school. I don't know if you guys did the mile test in Canada, but in the United
Yeah.
States, every grade they're testing you in the mile in gym class, and you're either one of the first kids or one of the last kids. Well, I was one of the last kids, so naturally I disliked running, didn't get into it, and I got into the more physical sports of hockey and baseball, and so I think there's some experiences there. There's also just running is such an easy sport to get into, which is great. I mean the low barrier of entry is great for any sport and physical activity
Yeah.
because physical health is so important. But there's a drawback to that where anybody can get into it. I don't want to use the word, are you fit enough? But it's easy to put yourself in the wrong position, do too much too soon in running, and
What do
kind
you
of
mean
hurt
in?
yourself and have that negative experience.
So I'm curious. So what do you mean to put yourself in a bad situation? Like,
I, you
I don't.
know, I'll even give the example of an individual. Like the easy one would be like an individual. Even my mindset when I went into after hockey and baseball, I put on some weight and just wanted to get back in shape. And this is this is probably 15 years ago now. I was just getting into my own personal fitness journey. I'm like, I'm going to run because I saw, Rocky in the movie Run and all these
Yeah.
individuals run to lose weight. That's what you got to do. And, I pushed myself a bit too hard too soon and certainly developed some injuries and had to cut it back. So there's one angle of that where you can an individual can not purposefully or not kind of drawing a blank of the word, but just put themselves in a position of failure
Yeah, it is to
when it
be.
doesn't have to be as complicated as they're making it. Or even on the other side, I have a lot of friends who are functional fitness athletes, CrossFit, very strong individuals and very fit individuals, but they're not fit enough to run where maybe their aerobic, their engine can run 10 miles, but the running form can't run 2 miles, 1 mile, right? Without breaking down. You kind of start overcompensating for form. Maybe you're heel striking or trying to drag, doing too much of a hamstring. You kind of see some hamstring pulls, Achilles issues. Again, so running is a great entry point into movement. It's a great thing. Everybody should be involved in it into some capacity, but you have to remember that running is just like any other technical sport or skill, where you want to kind of take the time to kind of learn a little bit and learn where your body is in this present moment, and then kind of pick some measurable points to grow over time, so you can you really make running a longevity sport and movement a longevity sport, and not cut yourself short.
Yeah, movement is so important. So
Yeah.
I'm curious to hear your tricks. What's your tips to to do such a long distance like that? Like,
Yeah, I mean,
what,
it
how do you do
sounds,
it?
it's going to be cliche, but start slow. I mean, any walk run intervals are great. I tell individuals, even again, if they're fit enough to run 10 miles, to hey, instead of just going to run 10 miles straight, do some sort of interval. Maybe run a mile, walk a quarter mile, then run again, and kind of doing off and on like that, or even something simple as set the timer for 30 minutes and do a minute on of running, minute of walking, and then over time cut down the difference of walking and increase the time of running to where you're running for 30 minutes straight. So that's an easy way to start for any individual on the spectrum, whether you consider yourself a beginner or even a fit individual who just wants to transition to doing more running. Take it slow, because training and no matter what your goals are is more of a lifelong approach, or a multi-week, multi-month, multi-year approach. You don't have to hit the goal in a week. Don't sign up for a marathon with a month's notice if that's your first marathon. I love the energy and the competitiveness of it, and the desire, but respect the nature that, let's set yourself up for success so you're not crashing and burning.
And you see, like my mindset switched maybe 8 years ago. So I used to, I used to party like crazy. I used to drink a lot of alcohol. I used to take some drugs sometime to do some crazy stuff, and I don't know, maybe 10 years ago or 8, I had really a mental switch, and I really understood health is really number one, it's cliche, but it's really when you have that switch in your mind, you kind of see the world differently. And I started to visualize myself doing ski on the top of the hills. Skiing is my sport. So I was visualize myself. Okay, I'm 95 years old, Pappy, Jonathan, the old guy, doing some ski in the snow, in the powder, in the Rockies, dropping into the, from an helicopter. So I kind of started to visualize myself. And now, from that moment, I just decided every decision I'll make will be according to that vision. 100%. So I want to see myself riding my skis at 95 years old with my family.
That's probably, you hit the nail on the head of just being important to be able to have that freedom movement as long as possible, and adding that family component in. I have 2 young kids, very young kids, and 20, 30 years from now, I still want to be able to run around.
Exactly.
When I was under 10 years old, and my grandparents and even great grandparents who were around, they seemed very kind of frail and didn't have that freedom of movement still. If I can still incorporate that in my lifestyle, I'm sure it'll be scaled down. But like you said, visualize doing what I'm doing now, or a component of it 20, 30, 40 years from now, 50 years from now. That's the beauty of life and movements. It can kind of continue to do that over the long haul.
Yeah. So it really switched. And so, it challenged myself. So here's the contrast, not the contrast, but here's the internal conflict about running and longevity and myself. It's I know it's good for health. I know it's, cardiovascular, for the blood. For me, when I run, it reduced my stress. It used to be when I was stressing out with my business and my past business, running was my pill, just go for a run and, all the stress remove. I'm learning, I'm listening podcasts while running. So, it's good for my health, mentally, physically, and my soul. But I'm very competitive, so I heard you did marathon, ultra marathon, you did this and that. So it's, I had that internal conflict to push myself to reach some goal. But on the other side, I'm thinking about my long-term goal, which is, live beyond 100 and the longevity aspect of it. So what's your take about your long distance, running and your impact on your body for, So I'm curious,
100%. There's a balance here. I think any form of training that you're doing, whether it's there's a health component, a performance component, or you're combining them together, it's like putting money into the bank, and you're adding to that over time, where you can make some debits, to take away some money from that, the deposit of fitness and health and longevity to add to the performance component. It might set you back a little bit. Certainly I've done races, certainly the 300-mile race. My foot was swollen. I was aching in pain.
Dude, that's a lot,
It's a lot. I took a lot out of the bank, my health bank, from that. But I kind of.
Would you do it again?
Oh, 100%. I'm looking to other races. There's the stoicism of, I think it was Marcus Aurelius, it's a shame for a man to grow old, to not understand his true capabilities. I kind of play into that a little bit of I'm young, I'm fit, I'm putting all this effort into my health and fitness. I can afford to take away. And
you can afford today, but what do you think about the impact in 20, 40 years? You don't care about that? Or?
There's a balance for sure.
There's no balance.
There's an emotional balance of why am I doing this race? Why did I sign up for the 300-mile race? Why did I run from LA to Vegas?
Yeah.
And is that worth enough to take away a little bit? And how much
do you feel it's worth enough?
For me, it was, look,
Why is that? Like, tell me. I want to
that's
go
what it
into your
is.
brain and understand that.
Yeah, for me, it was just, if I gave you the life story, if I'm talking to my shrink, there was probably some athletic achievements and accomplishments that were left on the table when I was younger, and I didn't hit some markers, and part of that and why I got into fitness and health was, the training component was missing. And so when I kind of fell into love with training and running and just sports performance in general, lifting weights, I kind of found myself like, oh, I can kind of hit some of these markers in different fashions from my youth now into my adult years, and put them to the test. I think training is a great environment to be in a gym or studio, wherever you train, but to kind of put into real world applications is really important, as well as to test yourself. Again, I do things maybe to an extreme. Like my wife, she would never do, she puts a lot of work into her gym and health experience, but she's not going to go out and run a 300-mile race. That's not her measure of, hey, where am I in my journey? But for me, it is. And I tend to push things. I calculate the risk of, this could set me back a couple months, could set me back a year. I mean, I could tear an ACL. I could, not to be dark about it, but I get hit by a car or something.
Yeah.
It's a race in an open environment. There's a lot of things that can happen. But I assessed the risk. I had a great team with me, pacing team that helped me out along the way. And I just knew, like, I put enough effort over the previous 10 years of my training and life to be able to take away, spend a little bit, again, using that money analogy of my fitness and health, where I'm not going to do a 300-mile race every single year. This was a year and a half ago. I didn't do one in 2024. At least right this second, I'm not saying I'm doing one in 2025, but, I had the opportunity to do it in 23, and I took the opportunity, and it was a great experience, and I would certainly do it again. But again, you got to be mindful of, like, hey, if my goal is 30, 40, 50 years from now to still be doing some component of health and fitness and run around with my kids, like, I can't be doing this every year and be stupid about it.
Yeah. Zach, I love you're the second person that say that about, like, seeing exercise as, like, putting deposit, like money deposit in your bank, but in your health, basically. And I love that like that metaphor.
Yeah. I mean, it's a great one for me. I think, financial health and personal health are one and the same. If you have those two things, I mean, you'll be golden in life. You don't have to be the richest person in either of those categories, but if you can find the amount that you can afford to put in on a daily basis, yearly basis, and take away at the right times, you get so much out of life.
And I think there's everything is about risk assessment. For example, like, I love to do ski, and I would say I do some crazy stuff skiing, so for a non-skier, that would be, like, very stupid for longevity.
Exactly. And that's probably the other component too, is I would say about my training, not to talk myself up as some amazing world-class athlete, but like a 300-mile race to me, like, I've done close to 15 marathons so far. I've run a marathon barefoot. I'm a big minimalist runner as well. So I've done the levels to get me to be able to run a 300-mile race. Exactly. This wasn't like I did a 5K last week and now I'm going to run 300 miles. Like, no. I took the time and dedication. I mean, it took me a year and a half to train for the event. Obviously, there's plenty of risk involved, but this wasn't just like, I'm going to do something so crazy, so extreme that I can't, complete the challenge. There's a high success rate from a physical component of it. Obviously, there's different influences that could have took away from the race, but I was pretty confident because the preparation was there to do the 300-mile race. So I'm not advocating for someone to go to the extreme without taking the baby steps and without really having that foundation underneath them to kind of take some risk. Yeah,
sure. No, but that's important to say that. And I think that when you do these type of competition, you go reach that, it's your achievement, it's like a form of achievement and self-confidence, and like, so that's beautiful. But for the, day-to-day people, like the people that are not attracted by this type of achievement, but they are more attracted by, like, the longevity aspect and the health. What would be, you think, like, and from your surrounding, like, how many times per week or per day, or what would be, like, the optimal or ideal duration for health without compromising and having, like, joint issues and, like, other injuries.
100%. I mean, there's obviously nuance to it depending where you're starting from, but like it's just right after the first of the year, so New Year's, everybody has these resolutions. You
Yeah.
see, 75 hard is a big thing. I don't know if you're familiar with that, or different workout challenges. Lose X amount of pounds in 30 days. I want to do this and that. Everybody's so quick to kind of do these challenges, which have a great motivating factor to it because there's some measurables built in. But my favorite workout protocol and to do it the first of the year, last of the year, middle of the year, anytime doing this throughout the year is 3-30-52. So 3 times a week, 30 minutes, 52 weeks a year. If you can maintain that,
3:30:52.
3-30-52.
Easy, simple.
Easy consistency. If it's not sustainable, it's questionable. And I think we often, myself included, put ourselves in position of doing too much when scaling back and not even doing the minimum, doing the enough consistent over a long period of time will yield, again, money reference, huge dividends here. 30 minutes is all you need. Again, is it going to build you a world-class physique? Is it going to make you the best athlete in the world? No, but if you can walk,
your flow,
get the flow going. If you can start with 3 30-minute walks a week, great. Add running to that if you want to kind of kick it up a notch. Switch out and add resistance training, weight training instead of running or walking. But really dedicate yourself in our stressful, busy lives of 30-minute workouts, 52 weeks a year, trying to not miss a week. You're golden.
I just got like a bulb of idea. It's because I think about running, and I was like, okay, running and longevity. Okay, what type of question I will ask, and what's important for me, and you just said something super important. You said walking. And I think you don't need to run to have a treadmill. Right?
That's probably a conversation I have a lot with individuals. I did another podcast recently, and the individual is more strength focused. So when we're talking about treadmills, his mind was going to what we talked about before is I have a negative experience of running. This individual, I don't like to run. I'm more of a strength athlete. Well, you don't have to run on a treadmill or run in general. You can walk. Walking is just, again, a basic freedom of movement. Running or walking is just a scaled down version of running. Everybody kind of looks at the performance aspect or how much they can push their body. But walking, and if you want to improve walking, probably walking is probably my favorite form of exercise, or just generally that I would recommend. The next component of that is rucking, so weighted walking. And you don't have to use that heavy weight, put a 5-pound weighted vest or carry a backpack with books, add a little resistance to it. You'll get so much out of it. Digestion health, if you can walk 5-10 minutes after you eat a meal, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. If you're looking for that 30-minute window throughout your day, walk 10 minutes after breakfast, 10 minutes after lunch, 10 minutes after dinner. There's your 30 minutes. It's going to improve your digestion, improve circulation, especially if you're someone who sits in the office all day. Exactly. So walking is a lot of bang for your buck, very low risk, high reward form of activity.
Yeah, and I really want to acknowledge a second thing from what you just said. Like your 3:30:52. It's you didn't put any distance.
No,
it's 30 minutes. We don't care about like, do you do 5 mile, 2 mile, 10 mile, and how much? Like, yes, there's a competition part of it with yourself, I think, but at the end of the day, 30, the time is more important,
I love time because it's a great auto-regulate of what you're doing in your training. I can say I'm going to run 5 miles, but if I feel like crap that day, that 5 miles might take me an hour and a half, much longer than it normally would. Or on the other end, I might have a great day and be able to run it faster. But if you have a 30-minute window, you can kind of scale your effort and not attach it to a distance, and maybe challenge yourself on a hill one time, maybe challenge yourself on a dirt trail or running or walking or rucking or whatever you're doing for that 30 minutes, and also just kind of set it and forget it. You're not anxiously awaiting the next mile or the mile after that. You can kind of set a timer, and you know what? The timer is going to go off no matter what. So just set it. Don't even look at it. Turn your phone over if you're using your phone, and just get 30 minutes of movement in there, and you'll be surprised what happens.
No, that's amazing. That's great. And there's a study that I saw many years ago, and I'll read it. It says that the benefit of running top off at about 4.5 hours of running per week. So the people who run more than that didn't live any longer. That's from Harvard studies. Researchers find that running can add 3 years to your life, and while other physical activities like walking and cycling offer benefit, but it's less than running. And that's a Harvard study. So in 2017. So it's been a while, but so when I read that many years ago, I was like, okay, so if I don't need to run, but it top off at 4.5 hours. So I think, you said 30 minutes, 3 times a week,
Yeah.
but still, when you look at that studies, like that should be the minimum, I think, what you
Yeah,
just
no,
said.
certainly. I mean, again, if you're just starting off, that 30 minutes is probably more than enough. But over time, still keep those 3:30:52 as your
Yeah.
baseline. And, a week that gets tough or busy, or if you're traveling a lot, you can still kind of manage to get 3 workouts in that 30 minutes. But yeah, certainly in the other days of the week, if you're able to, add more components to it, whether it's running, walking, lifting, yoga, whatever skiing activity you want to do.
Sure.
We've said this a few times here on the podcast, is just going too much too soon, or trying to strive for that. I got to run 20 miles because if I run 20 miles, I'm going to be fit. Or if I'm going to run a marathon, I'm going to be fit, where it could just take away more than you get from it. So you want to find that balance for yourself, and really ask yourself, why did I do the 300-mile race? Well, that's Zack Nagle's personal reason. That's
Yeah.
not to say Jonathan has to do it or anyone else has to do it. You got to find why you want to do these certain amount of things, and kind of fit them in your life in a sustainable way.
Yeah, absolutely. And what about the age? What's the when does people like the kid? When does the kid you think could use your product and should run on a
Yeah,
continuous
I mean, the,
basis?
the funny thing about the TrueForm, so I've traveled around with it at different trade shows and events and conventions, and people who come to us who are unfamiliar with the curved treadmill experience, adults are a little bit spooked by it because you can get on it, and it is unnatural. Like the belt is moving and you are moving, but you're standing in one place, and you have to actually, again, use your muscles, your core, your glutes to get the tread to move. So that's a crazy experience to be in. And so we see individuals like that kind of shy away. I remember one time, I won't name the football team, it was an NFL football team. I brought it to their facility, and sorry, my notification went off, but went off to an NFL facility, and the strength coach, this individual who's paid, hundreds of thousands of dollars to kind of be the pinnacle of health and fitness for their organization, was like, I can't use your treadmill, my hip is hurt, making all these excuses, right? So people shy away from it, and I understand why. But kids, man, I have taken these events. You'll see young as 4 or 5 years old hop in these treadmills and just start sprinting like just beautiful gazelles, right? And just natural running mechanics, no fear, obviously attached to it. But they're so connected to their movement and to their body weight. And again, at that age, they're running around a recess. There's so much physical activities in their life. They're not afraid of their own limitations. They're not worried about hitting a limitation or kind of having their embarrassment. And so that's not to say adults can't enjoy our treadmill. They certainly can.
No, but I mean it's
But
like kids.
yeah, certainly, there's no age limit on it. We have our treadmill in a lot of senior centers, which is really cool because of that natural running and walking movement mechanism. It's a safer environment. If you're an individual who's has some sort of limitation, whether it's age or injury, the treadmill, the TrueForm is great because when you stop, the belt stops. Like there's a little bit of a drag there, but it stops. You're not going to fly off the back. You hear all these horror stories of motorized treadmills, people falling and just go flying off the back. That's not going to happen on a TrueForm. So it's great if you have, like myself, I have a 4-year-old.
Yeah, I have a 5 years old kid, so
5-year-old. So I mean, you could put this TrueForm. My daughter runs on it all the time. She's not afraid of it. I will say that. The little in between of the slats, there's safety mechanisms in there. There's certainly some component of hey, be mindful of it with kids. But yeah, I mean, my daughter runs it all the time, and she's great. It's a nice, safe environment. The boner, again, the belt stops when you stop, and that's great if you're 4 or 84 or 94 or whatever. And then you can obviously take that to the opposite end of the spectrum of going pretty fast.
So that's good. So I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah.
And because I feel like the motorized could be kind of dangerous sometime, or like the kids, they cannot reach it, so they could just go crazy with that.
Exactly.
While yours, I mean, if you just go in the middle, you just stop. So it's kind of easy to.
100%. There's handlebars. I mean, obviously the U-shaped bar for everybody, but particularly for kids who are just naturally shorter, they have a nice grab spot to hold on to. So if they want to hold on to it, I mean, I've seen, as young as, again, 3-4 years old, have their hands up, holding it and moving the tread just barely enough where they kind of get enjoyment out of it. They're just playing around. It's recess for them.
And I'm curious, like you're in your treadmill, can we have like the stats, the do you have like the mileage or like the RPM, or do you have some
Yeah.
PPI that could
So
be?
this is a great time that we're talking about this. Right now, our current leader display is very basic. So pace, distance, time, speed. We have miles, kilometers, depending on what you want to measure in, which is great because the main purpose of TrueForm, again, is getting that running experience, the curve, the base of the tread, the feeling experience. Obviously, I'm a performance guy in some way, so I love the stats and the metrics.
Yeah.
The display kind of took a back seat for many years, but now as we head into 25, we have a couple new things coming out. I'm actually sitting next to one of them. It's going to be a 15-inch touchscreen display on the
Nice.
runner model. So you'll have deeper metrics, be able to embed it into the screen, upload to apps like
Boat model
Strava.
or?
Well, first for the runner, and then you'll be able to have smartwatch connection. On the trainer, we have a new display. It looks the same, but it has Bluetooth connections. You can upload the workout to like Strava or your favorite workout site as well.
So just to
Garmin
remember,
connection.
so your runner is the top of the line.
Yeah, so the runner is made, right now it's made in Wisconsin. It used to be made in Connecticut, but 100% made in the U.S. parts, materials. We make the
Build like a
little
tank,
rollers. Yeah, we make the little rollers in-house, with the metal lathe. So it's hand built. I'm a car guy as well, so I like to use the analogy of this is like an AMG Mercedes engine that's hand built. You can kind of look under the hood, see the signature of the person who makes it. Next to our serial number. So it's a cool experience. So that's great. The trainer, we came out in 2020, right before the pandemic. Didn't time it that way, but worked out well. It was more of a home, I pause to say work out well. It was a very tough time, but the trainer is a valued engineer version of the runner. At least that's what it originally was how can we take 60% of what we get out of the runner, the curve of our treadmill and the running feeling and experience, and put it into a more value engineered, lower cost option. So obviously we had to go overseas to that, went to Korea, but the running width and shape of a curve is the same, just has some plastic side covers versus the steel and aluminum and obviously US parts and materials. Now as we head into 25, we have a brand new trainer coming out. Still making our factory overseas. Curve is the same, but we've been able to improve the rollers and improve the material of rubber to get a little bit more high-end experience to it, still at that lower cost. And it also has that Bluetooth display that's coming out. So we're about to announce it in a couple weeks, but by February 1st, we live.
Nice.
We're really excited about that because what I've learned with the trainer, again, in our marketing previously, is the trainer is like, hey, you want the runner, but the price, the budget's for the trainer. Well, now the trainer just kind of has its life of its own. Where some individuals, I forgot if I mentioned this here, we have a professional NBA team has the trainer. They love that product over the runner just because the feel of it. Where we've taken that feel that people loved and kind of created its own experience where the products are again very similar, but have their own differences. Where if you call, I think I did this when you asked me about the difference between the two. It's like, hey, what are you trying to get out of your treadmill and training experience? Because if you put money aside, if money's the option, obviously you can go in one or two different directions. But if it's not, and you're just kind of like trying to figure out how it fits into your life, it could be either or. It really depends on you and the individual. And that's what we try to do at TrueForm is connect you to the treadmill through your individual experiences.
Okay, nice. So the new screen will be on your entry level or on your top of the line or both, just
to start, just the top of the line version. Over time, probably another 6 months, maybe up to a year, depending on production stuff. We'll bring it over to the trainer. But both of them, by February 1st, will have Bluetooth connection. The runner, the high-end version, will have a touchscreen. We'll also have a lower cost basic display. We'll call it a dumb display. But the runner, the high-end version, will have that touchscreen. The trainer will have aesthetically the same screen. So if you have our product now or if you're familiar with it, it's going to look pretty much the same. Just the internals of it is going to be more robust and have that Bluetooth capabilities, some intervals built in as well. So if you have, I forgot the code, it's FTMS or FMTS, whatever. So it connects to Zwift, Strava. There's a few other apps very similar to those two. Those are the two big ones in the United States. It will connect to it, upload your workout, which is really cool. I'm excited.
That's nice. That's nice. And would you say that the non-motorized, it's easier to do HIIT training?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, particularly just because of that safety factor and the factor that you can get on and off and you don't have to press stop or pause. The belt just stops and you can go full speed pretty quickly. If you hop on a motorized treadmill, if you need to do like a 400-meter sprint, after doing some sort of functional fitness component, HIIT component, or you're just doing intervals, you kind of have to hit a button, wait a couple seconds for the motorized treadmill to go, or be in an unsafe environment where you have the belt spinning at 10, 15 miles per hour and you just hop on and the whole poor dear God, you don't fall off. Where on our TrueForm, you get up to speed exactly where you would if you were at a track, high school track or collegiate track. So it's a great experience. Again, not trying to take away from what there are some benefits to motorized treadmills, but obviously I'm biased a little bit.
Of course,
like TrueForm, being able to be fully in control, taking as much of what you can do outdoors and put it into an indoor environment. And we're also not trying to take away outdoor running. I talk to a lot of runners like, just run outside, or I like to run outside. Like, I'm not taking that away from you. I understand the runners and triathletes who like to be outdoors and look around and see the scenery. Keep doing that, please. But just, you can add the training component, either if it's bad weather day, or just to be able to put yourself in a position for 30 minutes, an hour, longer if you're doing a long distance run, where you can kind of put yourself in this kind of vacuum and really assess your form and your movement over time. If you're working with a coach, you mentioned working with a coach, the great thing about the TrueForm is you can have a camera next to you and your coach can do form assessments in real time. Sure, you can do that on a motorized treadmill, but with the non-motorized nature of the TrueForm, you have to have the same mechanics you're doing outdoors. So there's nothing artificial about it, or very little artificial about it, because there are some differences between running outside and the TrueForm, but it's a great overall environment.
But for example, like me, I'm from Canada, and right now it's a very snowy day, so it's just like very dangerous just to go, and it's going to be super slippy. So so if I look back my last 10 years of running experience, or 15 years, I don't run during winter time.
Exactly. I'm the same way. I mean, I do more fall marathons or distance work because you can train all spring and summer. I'm in Connecticut. Same thing. The winter, it's cold. We don't have much snow on the ground, but it's close to 0 degrees Fahrenheit. So it's pretty brutal for me to run outside. And, so if I can run on a TrueForm, it's great. And again, if you have kids, like I have kids, I can run 10 miles when my daughter's taking a nap upstairs, right? It's a crazy experience to be able to do that and get as much out of that run as I would outdoors.
Yeah, amazing. And so I'm curious. You mentioned the NBA or like some team. So can you impress me? Like who's using your products? Like.
I mean, who should I name drop here? I mean, I guess a cool thing for me, I'll name drop is Tom Brady. He has a lot of it. I mean, I'm Connecticut, New England, Patriots football fan. It's kind of cool to have my.
So it's not a secret. We can talk about it.
What was that?
It's not a secret that Tom Brady.
It's not a secret. I mean, the funny thing is, with a lot of these athletes, obviously from a marketing perspective, we want to have them talk about the treadmill, but that comes at a very high cost, and you can imagine how much it costs to get Tom Brady to say anything good about you. But the cool thing about the TrueForm is, he's posted about it several times. We haven't paid him a dime. We obviously floated, hey, can you say some nice stuff about us? And he's like, his agents, like the usual stuff of like, costs a lot of money.
But just naturally post.
You don't want to devalue Tom, but Tom posts about it all the time. He just posted a picture of his gym the other day, and you could see the TrueForm right in center. And he used to do these videos when he was playing. He would walk in the TrueForm in the morning and be like, hey guys, great game yesterday, blah, 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 whatever he does. But he's walking in the TrueForm. That's such a cool experience. And then the other day, we have a couple NBA players. There's an NBA guy who just bought it. I won't name him, keep his privacy a little bit, but he's
that's a podcast. It's going to be on YouTube.
I know. But keep my clients, don't want to dox them a little bit. But the funny thing is, like this player, he's bought 2 from the past from us. I developed a connection just through over the years. But he just goes on our website and buys a treadmill. Like, doesn't call me, but he buys it. He's so confident in the product that he doesn't need like, hey, it's so and so. Can I get a discount kind of deal? He's just like, I love the product so much. I'm gonna buy one for myself. He's bought one for a couple gyms that he kind of co-owns. So that's a cool experience. Is you got that end of the spectrum of the kind of professional athletes, professional sports teams. Whatever sport you name it, they have it, or the facility has it. And so that's a really cool experience. And then just even the opposite end of the spectrum, the phone calls I get from people who had surgery either on the legs or their back or whatever, and running and walking wasn't a part of their lives just because of the high impact nature of outdoors and motorized treadmills. But they're like, I bought this TrueForm on a whim, and I heard it was going to work. I wasn't sure it was going to work, but it worked, and I can walk, I can run again, and I have this freedom of movement. So those are also my really exciting experiences when I have someone who just lost movement and regained it through the TrueForm. It makes me so happy.
Yeah, I'm sure. Do you have any other really nice story that you want to share? Maybe people that use your products, or I don't know. I mean,
I mean, the cool thing about Trueform again is just the spectrum of the individuals who use our treadmill. I mean, from the professional athletes to we've put treadmills on yachts before because
on
there's
yachts,
no power.
really?
Yeah, there's no power to it. I mean, there's a rechargeable battery, but there's nothing you need to plug into. Again, it's pretty waterproof. The display is sealed off, so you don't have to worry about weather. But obviously, it's metal, so it could rust. You got to take care of it. But that's really cool experience. The Trueform community is amazing. Probably one of my favorite stories is I used to. We're a small company. Used to be even smaller. Travel around the country, getting this treadmill sold and connecting with individuals and kind of spreading the word and the message. And sometimes I would just deliver the treadmill someone bought just because I happened to be in the area. And so I was in Texas. I had a bunch of treadmills for a big event in Texas. I was going to drive back from Texas to Connecticut, and someone bought a treadmill, and they called me the night before and just were just saying, "Hey, you still on schedule for tomorrow?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'll see you tomorrow, whatever." Blah blah blah. They called me I think I was going to drop the treadmill off at 8 a.m. and they called me at like 7, and I thought they were going to be like, "Hey, you're on your way." They just kind of be like, off-putting a little bit. No, it was the complete opposite. Like, "Hey, we made this great breakfast for you. Made some pancakes, made some coffee. Would you mind sitting down having kind of breakfast with us?" I'm like, "Yeah, this is awesome." So that was probably one of the coolest experiences, just having someone invite me in their home. Obviously, I'm dropping off the treadmill in their home, but just kind of invite me in their world. And I got to learn about their training, their experiences, and what they're trying to get out of the treadmill. It's just such a cool, if I told myself in high school that you're going to, if I just bluntly said what I do, sell treadmills, it'd be like, that's kind of weird. But just the life experiences of being connected to so many individuals who are looking for so much and getting so much out of the Trueform, it's so rewarding in life. And even be able to connect with you, talking about your longevity, your experiences. I love that. My favorite part of the job is just talking to people and connecting with them and figuring out, why they like Trueform. And that's what makes the brand is the individual. I can wear T-shirts all the time, hats, and talk about Trueform and talk about this athlete, that athlete. But I'm just as happy as talking about the person you never hear about on the news or TV or social media who just values the treadmill.
Yeah, I love your passion, my friend. I love it. So thank you so much. And that's one of the main reason why I created this podcast. It's really to first document my journey through longevity and really help other people to get to know products, to get to know lifestyle, to get to know some concept, and just to help them living a longer and healthier life. So
appreciate it.
And you're a good inspiration, Zach. Thank you so much. So where can we find you for people that want to reach out to you?
I mean, the easiest thing is just go to the Trueform website. You can hit up the chat box, check out our products there. You can hit me up at Zack@livetrueform.com, ZACK@livetrueform.com. Again, we're a small company, so if you contact us through the chat box or the phone, 9 times out of 10, it's probably going to be me or someone will get to me pretty quickly. So
amazing.
Come check us out, and I'm happy to talk shop about training, longevity, health, performance, and obviously our treadmills.
Amazing. And I'll put your information below in the comments. So
awesome, gentlemen.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. It was a beautiful conversation.
Thanks, man. Talk soon.
Thank you. Talk to you soon.